right, let's do it.
All right. Are you introing this?
Sure.
All right.
Welcome to the No BS podcast. We have a very special guest with us, but I am your host, Maria, and your other host is
Liam. And today we have Pat McGlone, firefighter, painter, dad, a little bit of everything. Retired football player.
man of many hats.
Yeah, many hats. So today we're going to kind of learn Pat's story, get to learn what he's been able to do over his lifespan, what it's like being a dad, managing his own business, transitioning to different things. So Pat, why don't you start with your story? What's the story of Pat McGlone?
Yeah, I mean, many hats, like you said, just recently wore the most important one is being a dad. And it's just so interesting how that changes all the other hats that you wear. And, like you said, you have children, and it's just like, it's night and day between what you were doing before then. But as far as like professionally, I originally, like you said, I was playing football back in the day and suffered an injury that knocked me out of it for the long haul. And it ended up sending me to the Art Institute in Pittsburgh. And it was there that I learned all the design work. But as I was going through, I just learned it was too expensive. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I wouldn't be able to come out and pay off the money that I was taking out in loans. So my brother called me and he asked me to become a firefighter. He said, they're taking the test. You might as well just sign up for it. So I signed up for it on a whim. A couple months later, I was working on the department. It happened real fast. And I still always had that itch to still be creative. I feel like, you guys as creatives probably know it too. Like once you have
Definitely
that
understand.
And it's pulled away from you and you find yourself in this other world, you still have that itch to get back to it. So I started painting just residentially, commercially, all that kind of stuff, and working at the gym, at a gym that me and Liam both went to for a while. And then all of a sudden, I had an opportunity from the owner of Youngstown Clothing Company. We were just having lunch together, just as friends, and he's like, "I need someone to paint a mural in the back of my storefront that's going in the Southern Park Mall." So I was like, I could give it a shot. Knew nothing of really how to apply a mural and stuff like that. It's so funny looking back on that first experience, but just kind of told him I could do it and found a way to do it. And it's still there to this day on the back wall of a Youngstown Clothing Company. But since that day, it just snowballed and I haven't stopped doing murals since. So that was over 5-6 years ago. So I feel very lucky to still be painting, and I feel very fortunate that there's even a market for that I didn't know existed beforehand.
Yeah, there definitely is a market for that. There's not many people who do what you do. Yeah,
it's really interesting because so many times I'll get calls from people who will have seen like work from me, and they'll simply just say like, "I've wanted a mural, but I didn't even know like where to start." Like, do you Google? You can't go to like, your phone book or like, and just search a mural artist, because it's really hard to land one or find one, especially in this area. I mean, if you're in a larger city, they're much more common. But
Cleveland, LA.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to find that.
Yeah. On every street corner, you see public art, you see tags, and they almost become part of the culture too. When you go up to like a city like Cleveland or Pittsburgh, they integrate those artists into their community events and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They are, I would say like a local celebrity in the sense of like your on-air personalities for like the news. Like you see them involved in the same way. Yeah. But in Youngstown, I can't think of many that are even doing it. Yeah.
So how have you decided to market yourself into that niche? I guess, how do you market yourself as someone that paints murals?
Yeah, I definitely market myself as a muralist. It's unique because the work that you're doing is probably your strongest form of marketing,
I would agree.
Yeah. Like, it's almost come to a point now where like people will send me a picture and be like, did you do this? You know, and those are just large billboards for not only the company that you're working for, but also for yourself. And people get to actively see you do it. So the marketing almost kind of doesn't take care of itself because you still have to go out and get it. But in a sense, it
because your finished product is so public.
Yes.
Everyone sees it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you always sign your name on things?
I don't. It's tough because I'm not like a super creative artist. Like I'm not just doing my style. I'm not forcing like what I want to do onto a client. I basically go to a client and I try to pull what they want.
Yeah.
And adjust myself to fit their needs. So a lot of times I have a very like commercial look to most of my work. I'm more of a sign painter than just an artist. So it's tough to like paint someone's logo and then put my name on it.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's true with the logo work and everything. But you are an artist.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to plan a large scale mural?
I guess what's the largest thing you've ever done?
Yeah.
The largest we did was the Apollo building in downtown Youngstown, 9,000 square feet of space. We did over 200 gallons of paint, over 200 cans of spray paint, over 40 colors. It was a wild project. It was a really, really wild project. Tim Huber is a guy that bought that building downtown and has just really turned it into his own personal art piece. He rented out he completely gutted the whole building, made the top floor his penthouse, and basically gave me the exterior of the building to do something really cool on. Yeah, so it was awesome. But the processes of it mostly depends on budget, honestly, because like so many people will come to me and they'll say, I have no idea what you cost. And that's fair. Like for you guys in photography, I'm sure there's almost like a fair market price. And
yeah, there's kind of a standard.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a range on how well you do it. I'm sure there's a top end and a bottom end, but you can't just, people are going to have an idea of what you guys are going to be around.
Yeah.
When they come to murals, they really have no idea. So the toughest part is not spending too much time developing the concept before knowing and understanding what budgets are. Yeah. That's a tough part. That's a tough part business-wise to like get over that hill of talking to someone and saying this is going to cost this much and having them know what it's going to look like without putting a ton of work in with designs and everything like that.
And without, lowballing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't lose.
Yeah, and our art just typically is one of those things that does get lowballed. I think if you need a new roof, you need a new roof. It is what it is. It's the price. Yeah. When it comes to art, for some reason, there's just this crazy, constantly whittling it down. So,
how did you determine what your time is worth?
It was tough. Because of that, the fact that, you hear the starving artist narrative, and to some degree, it's true. It's a hard industry to monetize well. I think a lot of people can make money or do side jobs or sell stuff on Etsy and stuff like that. But to make the leap into like career and supporting a family off of, it's really, really tough. And I spent my first couple of years just doing stuff for free, and doing it for low costs, until I saw that there started to be a demand for it. And then I was able to, kind of make that jump into, okay, if I want to break away and start to do this, full time, this is what I need to make. So this is what I need to do. So it almost worked backwards, but it took a while before I felt any sort of confidence to actually make that plunge into it.
Yeah, I understand. I did the same thing, the same concept. I would took a number that I wanted to make annually that I needed to make, and then I dwindled that down to try and give myself an hourly goal of income. And I learned that from a podcast, actually. I forget what podcast I was listening to, but was suggested to me to kind of look at it that way. So you figure out what you want to charge.
Now, that's with the photography side of things?
Yep.
Yeah. For you with that, is the barrier to entry of gaining clienteles, how is that photography side? Is it, is the demand's obviously higher, but the competition's higher?
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that strain, when setting your price?
I guess anyone can buy a camera.
Yeah. That's the biggest difference, I feel like, between what you're doing and what we're doing, because anybody can buy, go ahead.
Anyone can buy a camera. Anyone can buy a paintbrush. But if they can't paint on the lines, it's going to look like crap.
Yes.
So that's where the difference is. Nowadays, it makes it so easy, even with your phone. Anyone can take a good photo. But it comes down to, how do you market yourself and how do you run your business? That's how you stand.
Service.
Yeah, and the customer service. That's how you stand apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
Is if you can take photos, but you don't know how to run a business, one's going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's where you kind of have to find that balance, because it is such a watered down market right now with photographers. Everyone keeps popping up. Oh, I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going to do this. But unless you actually know how to run the business side of things, you're not going to grow very far.
And it takes all of, I would say, 5 years for any creative to begin to see a movement upward.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Don't you think? That's kind of where I stood. It took 5 solid years, and a lot of self-doubt
100%.
to be like, okay, I can do this, and this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah, for sure. To have that foundation of, this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I've been able to sustain this for 5 years and can continue on. I would definitely agree with that. Yeah. And I feel like there's so many that don't reach that,
And that's where it really sets apart, because you see these people who begin to market themselves as something in the creative industry, and you really do. You hope for them that, man, I really hope that they can make it through the long haul, because it really does. It takes 5 years for you to be solid in your business.
Absolutely.
And to learn the ropes, and to learn all of the back end, and to learn what you need to delegate and what you need to do yourself to just function as a whole.
Yeah. I was fortunate because I still work at the fire department, but it gave me the security of a paycheck, benefits, all that kind of stuff, to go out and be as risky as I wanted. And I look back on it, I don't, my first year or two, there's no way I would have survived if I was without that. So, I feel for all the people trying to make it with anything creative. It takes some guts.
It does.
It does. And especially around here, as you know, it's be involved in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Around here in Youngstown, especially, it's the word of mouth.
Absolutely.
Yep. Word of mouth is definitely the strongest.
Yeah, Youngstown's unique in this. It has a decent size population, but it's this small. If you do someone wrong, it's gonna affect your business.
100%.
That's gonna have a large ripple effect, and vice versa. If you become a person that is known for super solid work, that reputation is gonna carry with you too. Youngstown is very unique in that sense.
And I value a lot of my success on just building relationships with people, especially in this area.
Yeah.
Because it's one person likes you, they're well connected, they're going to send, hey, you got to use this guy.
You always walk into a room looking for those connections, those friendships.
Absolutely. And it comes in a time where good work is so hard to find that even if you're charging a premium price, if someone that you hold close to you comes to you and says, hey, this guy, he did really good work for me, use him, you're almost done right there because it's so much easier to just pay the money and have good work done than to go look for someone and end up with a lower quality product or risk that. So that's those relationships are everything.
Yeah. And there's definitely a shift too, like in the word of mouth. Because it used to be like people, not long ago, people would go to Google and they would look at reviews, or they go to Facebook and they look at reviews and they would judge their whether or not they do business with this person based off of reviews. But now I feel like it's like you can have one person tell you, hey, this person did really good work for me. And that'll be the decision right there, just like you said.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at reviews and stuff. Do you feel that way? Because
I could see that.
I don't see a lot of people even looking at reviews all that often when there is an area with such a strong word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I went on Google, that's an interesting point you make. Yeah, it's almost oversaturated. You know, like every business has a QR code, like share a review, and it's almost so disingenuous, like that. Yeah, it's watered down, the whole review thing, and to
Are
have
they paying for those reviews?
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
There is
exactly.
nothing more powerful than looking somebody in the eyes and hearing them say, this person did this work for me. You should use them.
Especially with something as personal as what you guys have. Like the biggest day of my life, I trusted these two and they knocked it out of the park. Like, what else do you need? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
What kind of struggles have you faced as you've gone through your journey from a business standpoint? I guess also like finding a balance. Obviously, you're still a firefighter.
Yeah.
Have you tried to balance that, painting, being a dad, being a husband?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fire department's unique in the sense we work 24 hours on, then 48 hours off.
Okay.
So, most weeks we're working 48 hours. And then on the third week, we're working 72 hours. And then I'm still working full-time hours as a painter as well. Now having 2 kids, time has become a crunch. And having a family, it puts a very strong emphasis on becoming more efficient. And you've known me for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been like the most efficient, like buckle down kind of person. And I constantly find myself like adjusting that to try to get better. And honestly, the biggest piece of the puzzle has just been my wife. She's incredible when it comes to efficiency on the side of like household stuff. Like sometimes I call her to-do list Monica, because like when she gets on her to-do list, like
it gets done.
It is getting done, and there's no questions asked. But she's been such like a good foundation for like at home. And it's really allowed me to like just work on like business stuff. And same with having kids. Like she's been a fantastic mom in that same sense. So, I mean, I remember there was a day that I did a 24-hour just like nonstop paint. Like I just worked on a mural for 24 hours straight, and she was just like, "Hey, it's got to get done." Yeah,
yep.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been really good.
Yeah, and one thing that I always tell parents, just because I do have 4 kids, and so I feel like I still have so much to learn, but I've learned a lot. And one thing that I tell everybody, it's not about the amount of time that you spend. It's about the little pockets of time and how you spend it.
Yeah.
So you can have an entire day with your kids, but if you are distracted, it's not going to mean anything to them. As 30 minutes of getting down on the floor with them and playing, that will mean so much more to them.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Being present.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the same things transfer over. Like I feel like the better parent you become, the better business owner or employee, anything you become, because the same thing applies to like working on a mural. Like if I'm super dialed in, for 4 hours, I'm probably going to get more done than if I'm just kind of like milling around for 8 hours. So, it's so true. Just like really trying to find those times to be absolutely present. But it's challenging.
It is challenging. How do you battle that? I'm sure every creative person has their block
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's very hard to do what we do. How do you stay focused? How do you stay creative?
Yeah, I would say that again, the fire department's just been like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined this like life path, but when you go to the fire department, we have tasks to do every day, but you also have some free time to yourself, and that's the one area where I've been able to still like get a workout in. Like that used to be a huge part of my life, and like just like being able to get an hour in here and there kind of like keeps things going and gives you some normalcy. So but yeah, the creative blocks are a real thing. Yeah,
Very much.
because when you're they describe you have that glass of water and you can only pour it into so many different avenues. Yeah, creativity is gonna say, when you're running on a couple hours of sleep because your kids were up the night before and you got a couple jobs going on, like your creativity is gonna suffer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, I had a terrible burnout from wedding season. Terrible. I was blocked when I was editing. Like, I just wasn't happy with my results and I was questioning myself. And this year I've made I just had a baby 8 months ago. And I've made a very big effort to take care of myself on a mental level and a physical level. And it's made a huge difference. So I feel like I've discovered the answer to like avoiding those creative blocks is just downright taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And you push that quite a bit on the team, staying healthy and just taking care of yourself, because when you aren't and when you run out of time to do that kind of stuff, that's when your brain is just like, blah, shut down.
Yeah. And it's like one of the first things you kick to the side too. Once you start to get busy, you're like, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm not going to, take time to breathe or meditate or collect yourself. And then you're like, whenever I have time. And that time never comes. You have to forcefully make it. Yeah, because just run yourself into the ground. Yeah. I feel it.
And when you have kids, it makes it even harder. I literally pencil in time. Like, I have to. That's my routine to make sure that I put in that time for myself is like, I'll be like, okay, Tuesday at this time, I'm going to get a babysitter. I'm going to come to the studio. And it does make such a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Like the non-negotiable. Like, yeah. Prioritize that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What kind of challenges have you had to find people that can help with what you do?
Oh, I didn't know that you had some helpers sometimes.
Yeah, I have. So at one point we were doing like a residential side of the business, which is much easier to find people. Much harder to keep people though, because once you teach them how to paint anything, they usually go and start their own painting business because it's so.
We understand.
Yeah, absolutely. But so I've only successfully been able to find one person to help me with the artistic side of things. Her name's Jenna Deere, and she's a fantastic artist. She's honestly a fantastic painter, though. Like her family is, they're all laborers. They like know how to do everything.
Yep.
And
she kind of just grew up in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's handy, and she knows how to paint really well, like large areas. And that's more valuable in this industry than being an artist. I would take somebody who had a commercial painting background over somebody that has a graphic design background, because it's more about applying something to the wall than being like, we're not sitting in front of a canvas like Bob Ross, and like we're very methodically planning things out and then applying.
I definitely I would walk us through that. Do you have any software that you use? Sorry, interruption of the question, because I'm so
fine.
fascinated. Like, I could just never look at the side of a building and be like, this would look good here. And then how do you even paint something that's bigger than your arm span? Like, that's just crazy.
It's an interesting art form because like you don't. You lose perspective. You're on the wall, like we're painting Apollo's face, and a bust of Apollo, 4 stories tall. So his nose was about 11 feet tall. So his nose was larger than me. So you lose all sense of perspective because you're right up on it. So we just find ways to like a common way we do is called the doodle method, where we'll go up to the building and we will just scribble all kinds of letters, symbols, all over the building, take a photo of that, and then take our design, lay it over top, drop down the opacity. So then you'll be able to see you have all these reference points in where your design will hit. So then you just you go along and you follow that, and you really have to like detach yourself from like thinking like what a nose looks like or what eyes should look like,
Yeah.
and you just have to paint shapes. You know exactly what you see, because it'll mess with your mind when you're painting something that large. You just have to stick to the design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so, I never even like thought of doing that. So you're making a map
Yep, exactly.
for yourself to follow.
Yeah, and with all the doodles, I mean, some people would just do like a classic like square grid, but the doodles are really cool because it just gives you so many reference points.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, back to your question, Liam. Sorry, interception.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Add some
Go
football
for it.
terminology in there.
There you go.
I think it was
Finding people.
Yeah, she's been great, and it's because she has like a mix of both of those stuff, both of the commercial painting experience, and she was an art student at YSU, so she comes from both worlds, and she's a hard worker, and she actually has broken off and started her own mural company, but we still work hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
She is mostly based out of like Trumbull County.
Okay.
And a lot of the times, like a mural project, if you're working on a 8x8 wall, doing something like you're kind of tripping over the other person.
You don't need a second person.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really good that she went off and did that. And now we can team up for
Collaborate on different projects.
for projects.
Is how do you determine how big of a project do you need more people? How you figure out like, all right, I need to delegate part of this so we can get this done a lot quicker?
Yeah. Most of the time it's a budget thing too.
Okay.
If we can secure something that calls for more people, the unique thing about murals is people are going to wait for murals. You know what I mean? Like if someone finds me and they're like, we want this guy to paint our wall, and I tell them, well, we have like a 3-month, 4-month, 5-month lead out. Most of the time they're going to wait because they simply like haven't found someone to this point.
Yeah.
So we can kind of like play with our schedule a little bit more. Like you guys are probably real, like someone has a date.
Mm-hmm.
They need you on.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
So it's really like locked into that where, if I see murals coming out and all the budgets are super tight, like I'll probably rock those by myself. But if we have bigger projects with bigger wiggle room, like I'll bring Jenna in and we'll work with that. So again, it just comes back to that. How much do I want to make per hour?
Yeah.
Can I do that with this budget on this project?
And we do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same thing on a smaller scale, I feel
Yeah,
like.
sometimes it makes sense. Hey, I can just do this on my own. Make more sense. Hey, to get this done better and quicker, it might just make sense to bring someone else on.
Yeah. Second shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I feel like every creative has like an aha moment when they're looking at what they love to do and they're like, wow, I can monetize this. I can make money from this. Tell us about that moment for you.
I think it was, well, even Youngstown, like my first one, Youngstown Clothing Company, just because that's such an awesome brand.
Yeah.
And so many people like went into that store and saw it. And then one of the people that saw it was the GM of the Southern Park Mall. And he asked me to do one of their shirts on the outside of the building. So we have the big like Yo-Hio on the outside of the Southern Park Mall. And when I did that one, like got that check and I was like, all right, this could be a legitimate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Business Journal came out, and that was like the first story that really got us like a lot of traction and started to get us out there. We got a lot of business just from doing that first one, and it's snowballed ever since. But that was definitely my first project where I stood back. I was like, we could do something with this.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever hit a wall on a project? and be like, hey, it just makes sense to start over at this point?
Ooh.
I couldn't even imagine.
I had one wall. I don't even want to say what it is because I don't want
say
that.
it.
I don't want that person
Yeah, you're good.
to know that.
Yeah, don't say it.
But there has definitely been, because I always there's not many projects that I'm going to say no to, even if I'm not very comfortable. And there's obviously, as an artist, there's going to be strengths, especially when you're doing as wide of a range of stuff that I'm doing. So I say yes to a lot of things where I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
That's how you make it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you make it further.
So, but one of those times I was like, I don't know if I quite accomplished the goal here. That's tough. That's tough to admit, but you give it your best crack.
Is how could you be very niche in what you do?
What do you mean?
Like, I know you're like
saying
the
like,
type of work.
You're saying, okay, like there's
from like a mural. All right, so you could do large buildings, but I've also seen you do like a kid's bedroom.
Well, there's a lot of artists that are just like so creative and have made their style so prominent that like someone's gonna come to them for a wall and they're gonna say like the theme of it, and they're just gonna do it in their style. Like you're basically hiring that artist's style. So that's where it's really, really niche. And it's something that I've like flirted with in trying to get into. But again, it's just like a market demand thing. Like in Youngstown, in this area, it's more of like you have to paint with a broader stroke.
Want.
Yeah. You have to conform to what the companies want. You can't really just be like, oh, people in Youngstown are going to want my style. It's just not. I don't think it's as
doesn't
as
always
plausible.
fit into that.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your preferred style?
I like a very illustrative, like almost like sketchy kind of look. Like ragged lines, outlines, heavy outlines, solid colors. I would say that the Apollo building I did was pretty close to like what I would like to do for all of them. I like this. I like doing faces, but a little bit more like structured, not as realistic. I like doing like a structured face with some hard lines. We just did one of Martin Luther King. They came out really cool.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I would like to start maybe gravitating towards stuff like that. But again, you just have to, if the demand's there.
Yeah.
And if the demand's high enough, like some of these artists still travel around the country, around the world, if their style is so well received. But again, I don't even know if I would want to do that, because what's that look like with a family,
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It gets tricky, but there's always ways around it.
Yeah.
Because you have to do what you love to do in order to be the best parent that you can be.
For sure.
Yeah. I tried to live the like 9-to-5 life for a year. Actually, it was while I was pregnant with my son. And that's how I met Liam. And it didn't work because it's not what I was meant to be doing.
You feel like it pulled away from you.
Absolutely.
As a person.
Yep.
Affected you in your home life, not being able to do something creative.
100%. So
That's interesting.
You have to weigh that factor into it too. So you know what? If you need to take a week and you need to go do something that you dream of doing, you're a parent, but you're still allowed to have dreams.
That's it.
Yeah. And you know what you teach your kids when you chase your dreams? That they can chase their dreams too.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's the way I put it out there.
That's
and I mean,
stuff.
like, yeah, you talk to my kids, and to be honest, they've watched me do that kind of stuff. And like when I tell them that I'm working, it's never that I'm working. It's mom has a photo shoot today. Mom's going to a wedding. She gets to go to a wedding today. And so it's never considered work. And that I've watched that kind of tumble into this like beautiful thing for them, because they just think that they can go and do anything. They can go and make a living off of anything creative that they want to do. They'll talk and they'll be like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to, and it's just this whole imaginative world that they've created for themselves. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah, and you
you
realize
can.
you realize how much your kids like model
Oh,
after
they
you
do.
and how much you modeled
Yep.
after your parents, whether you realize it subconsciously or consciously. And just for them to be able to see that relationship that you have with work
Yeah.
is going to cause them to have the same relationship with
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you grow up in a family of artists, or where did the painting passion come from?
Honestly, my brother could draw. It wasn't like prominent, you know. We weren't, you know, painting stuff on the walls of the house or nothing like that. We were more like football.
Your
like,
poor mother.
yeah, I had 3 brothers. Yeah, we were more into like wrestling and that kind of stuff. But I would say the biggest influence was Mr. Butler.
Okay.
And you know Mr. Butler. He's the art student at our art teacher at our high school. And just a phenomenal guy. And like I said, when I broke my neck my senior year playing football.
Oh, gosh.
And like, yeah, in a football game, and I was done. So I had to like 180 all my plans. And he was the guy that really kind of like, I don't know, showed me that there was another thing that I could do well and to pursue it. So I don't think I would be doing any of this if it weren't for him. He was my biggest influence as a person to get me to do this. Yeah.
Very
awesome
cool.
guy. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Butler.
Now,
Tribute to Mr. Butler.
Yes. Do you hope to see your kids follow in your footsteps?
That's a good question. I would.
Have you starting to see kind of some interest in what dad's doing?
You have a 2-year-old and a newborn.
Yeah. The 2-year-old likes to draw, but she's
2.
2.
yeah, she's 2. She's 2. So nothing's. I'm not using her to design my
There you
murals
go.
anytime soon. But
Not coming on jobs with you.
I would highly like if they showed the slightest interest and like asked me about it or wanted to pursue it, I would do everything to encourage that and facilitate it because it's been such a rewarding career for me so far. And I've worked a ton of jobs, like a lot of like manual labor and you know, this doesn't feel like work at all. So yeah, I absolutely would. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah. I definitely I would like to approach talking to my kids about future and career and things like that. I envision myself directing it as what do you like to do? Not what do you want to do? It's what do you like to do? And how can we turn what you like to do into a business or something like that? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather, because that's just like how my parents always talked to me was, well, what do you want to do? Like, what career? Like, name something. Let's look it up on Google and let's see what their annual income is.
Yeah.
And let's make a decision
That's
that way.
very traditional route. I'm sure all
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
that's
I
how
think is-
that's how my
yeah.
parents were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've noticed a shift. I mean, like no dissing our parents either, because that's
Just
just
that
how
generation.
it was. That's
Absolutely.
how the generation was. And now there's a huge shift, which I feel like the shift that we're experiencing contributes to the lack of workers out there right now, because everybody is on an entrepreneurial route right now, which is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So it's, I don't know.
Like as humans, like that's what we are meant to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think when we saw each other first, we were talking about like
Yeah.
AI and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that.
Yep.
Like if it can take over those jobs and allow people to you know, pursue dreams and be more creative, you know, I think that's
Yeah.
Maybe that's a pro to it.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know where that leads and how like the sustainability of it, but it's worth the endeavor. You know,
Yeah.
I would recommend my kids to you know what I mean. I wouldn't
Yeah.
just pigeonhole them into like a 9-to-5 type deal either. So yeah, I don't know. That's much bigger than us. That's
Well,
for
while
sure.
we're on the topic, like college and everything, you mentioned that you went to college and realized that like there just was a point where you couldn't make this happen anymore. I did the same thing. how do you feel about like college degrees and things like that? Because I don't have a college degree.
I don't.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. None of us have college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if I had a college degree, I feel like I would never have the success and the assets that I have now.
100%. Yeah. The Art Institute was really fun.
Yeah.
In like a creative sense, because it was all like-minded people throughout the entire building, and there was no filler classes. I think you had to take like one math class your whole 4 years there, and one history class, but it was art history. So it was like my first semester, my classes were like drawing, color theory, perspective, like all like they were fun classes.
Yeah.
Which is stuff that you carry with you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I did learn a lot there. On the flip side, though, like Jenna, the girl who works for me, she went to YSU for a graphic design degree, and she went through 2 years of college and hadn't taken one art class.
Oh, wow.
So she had been in school for graphic design for 2 years and had never opened Adobe Illustrator. And I'm like, it was crazy to me. Like I was helping her learn some stuff on Adobe Illustrator, and I'm just like
How?
With the knowledge that she had gone to school for graphic design, it was crazy. So there's definitely like two sides of it, but
then you look at it from an Art Institute standpoint, like it's so expensive.
oh my gosh, yeah, they actually shut down. Yeah,
Did they really?
Yeah, the Art Institute shut down. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
They were seen as like predatory in the way that they were recruiting kids, and they were a for-profit thing. Bunch of legal jargon that I'm not familiar with, but they had to shut down. So
yeah, that's why I feel like the shift in like college, because like not a lot of people are going to college anymore.
Yeah.
And so if there's one thing that I could go back and do, it would be like, let's do the like high school opportunities where they let kids go to vocational school. I wish I would have done that for like business driven stuff, just so I knew how to run my business better.
Yeah.
Because the creative stuff, you just learn with experience and, diving into the atmosphere of it.
Honestly, if you think about it though, like if you went to like one of these like websites, like a master class or Udemy or something, or and had a subscription, you could really curate an education for yourself that would be far superior to anything that a university would give you.
I bought a camera and literally like YouTubed how to use my camera. And that's how I learned how to use my camera. I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
Yeah, because you almost like it's on a need to know basis. Like I need to know this information. How do I do it?
Yep.
And then apply it. And then you actually are applying it like in a practical sense. So you realize, you retain the information. So yeah, unless it was something very specific, they're still your
doctors, your lawyers,
all that kind of stuff.
Medicines. Yeah. But
anything outside of
creative,
that, I think it's crazy.
Yeah. You just kind of learn as you go and as you need to learn. What are some of the things that you've had to sit down and research and learn how to do to run your business?
Well, I think you guys know with editing software and stuff like that, like Adobe Illustrator is a monster. And it's not so much like I could always design something, but I'd be doing it and I'm like, I know there's a button out there that could accomplish this in half the time. Yeah. So I feel like I've really dived into Adobe Illustrator and just, short keys and efficiency, because, that design time, is very crucial hours. Those are my after the kids go to bed, you know what I mean? Like those are crunch time hours that I have to be efficient. And so I would say that educating myself on that, because I knew the practical side of applying paint to walls just through working those jobs. So it was the back end side of thing. And then obviously, content creation is such a monster that I've barely scratched the surface of. Then you get into taxes and advertising and stuff like that. A single person business that's trying to reach a large audience is someone that's going to have to wear a ton of different hats. So it's a challenge. Like people always make fun of these like TikTok creators. Like those people have to work their butts off, like to constantly strategically plan videos, shoot them correctly, and edit them in a way that people want to engage with. That's a full-time job, no doubt.
That's one of the things that my husband and I kind of like, sometimes we don't see eye to eye on it because he's able to go to work and come home. And there's nothing, I mean, besides phone calls and like discussion about business, there's nothing that like he can carry home and do. And then I'm like, all over the place. Like I can make this, I can do this, I can edit while I watch a show. I can make reels and Instagram posts and blah, 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 blah. And it just like never stops for me. It's very hard for me to shut off.
Yes. I struggle to detach. There's that meme where it's like the woman lying in bed and she's like, she's looking over at her husband. Like, I bet he's thinking about other women. He's just staring at the ceiling. Like that's how I feel. But it's like, like just literally working in an Illustrator, like in my mind, just looking at the ceiling, like, oh, that needs to go there. Just it's just like I can't. You like can't shut it off.
No, you can't. But that just means we love what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah, you don't want to shut it off to a certain degree. Yeah, you want to keep chasing it.
If you could delegate any areas of running your business, what would you delegate right now?
It would be like I don't want to say that. Like, I would say my biggest one is like cold emails. Like I think that's the most in my line of work. I feel that way, and a lot of muralists feel that way. Like cold emailing, you really have to get yourself out there and send 100 cold emails a week to the proper businesses and stuff like that. And that is definitely because that sending 100 emails isn't that hard. But opening up 100 lines of communication, which, you probably only get 10, but now you're talking to 10 and then there's someone interested, and just maintaining that level of like communication with people constantly is exhausting. And the payoff is so small compared to the work because you're emailing hundreds of people just to get a mural.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of cold emailing.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you find your clientele of like a target?
One thing that I'll do is like, especially in like some of the bigger cities, like property management companies, or even like specific things like coffee shops. That's how I met Josh. Josh was through Josh Langenheim from Stone Fruit was through a cold email. I just said, hey man, I love your coffee shops. The vibe is awesome. Like, I think something that could go hand in hand with it would be like a hand painted mural or something like that. And he's like, how he is. He's like, I got something in the works. And it was eventually Steel Valley Brew Works, but that's how we met each other. And just trying to, and that's a problem too. Like cold emails, you have to show some kind of personal. So they're all. I'll try to find like a dozen that are in the same thing. Curate like an email that's gonna speak to all of them, and then just change the specifics. But yeah, that's a lot. I would delegate that.
Have you found that emailing is more successful than like reaching out personally on social media? Or have you not worked that side of it very much?
I feel like if you can find the right contact on emails. Yeah. And because like social media, you find so often that these businesses, like
if they're a big business,
they're run by someone else. They're not going to see your message. I will email someone, and most of the time my first email is, who is the person that I should be talking to? You know what I mean? And most people are eager to give that up, because then that means that they're not going to.
It's less work for them.
They get to pass it off to someone else. But email seems much more effective than social media is,
and professional, I'd say. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, most of the time, I feel like social media just ends up ghosted, especially on these professional accounts. And honestly, most of the time you run into these big businesses and they don't even really manage their social medias that well. So you could go weeks and it could just not even be seen. So yeah.
Where do you hope to see your business go in the next 5 years?
You know, I've thought about this a lot, and I'd like to go the route of Bentley Studios. I want to continue to increase my product and the professionalism, the quality. And I feel like I'm on a good trajectory for that. And I want to start to really go out and grab hold of bigger jobs. I know me and you have talked about it before. It's like you can only shoot so many weddings.
Yep.
You physically, I'm in the same boat. Like I have to physically be at the wall. Like people necessarily, like I could have helpers, but if I get hired for a mural and I'm not there, that's not what someone hired me for. So I can only make money with the time that I'm spending on a wall. So I want to start to get larger projects, even if that means that they're out of town.
Yeah.
More selective,
and maybe take on less of them, you know? So instead of, you know, maybe we're doing one a month, we take a week and a half, 2 weeks, do that. And then we're off the other part of the month, something like that, where we could still strike a healthy work-life balance, but start to just, because the amount of time it takes to design a $1,000 mural is the same amount of time it takes to design
Oh, then yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, you're still going through concepts. Sometimes they're harder. You know what I mean?
they're more intricate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I want to start to go after more like those bigger fish ones. And
Okay.
yeah.
Is how many jobs are you doing per month? Typically, what's the number?
I would say that
average?
there's usually like one big project a month, and then there's always going to be like 5 or 6 smaller 1 or 2 day ones.
Yeah.
You know, I always like to, especially in like the summer, work big exteriors and then have like a dozen interiors like ready to go in case there's like a rainy day. You know,
Yeah.
it rains, we hop inside for a day, finish a mural, and come back outside. Yeah. So I would
Gosh,
say,
I didn't even think about battling rain.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Weather,
Yeah. And like just
temperature.
seasonal. Yeah. Like those exteriors. I mean, we've been up on lifts in very, very cold weather.
No way.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
It's
no
brutal.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. How what issues have you faced with paint? Like depending on what the building's painted in, or like weather conditions.
For sure. Like, surfaces and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, with the commercial stuff, I know like, what preparations need to be had. If we need to prime it, if we need to acid wash it, like all that kind of stuff. And I think that separates me from like your traditional, say you came out of art school and you just really love art and you really love, creating things. And then someone hires you to do, a 40-foot tall wall. You're looking at it and you're like, I don't even know what product to buy to apply this. So I feel like I've had a really easy time transitioning and getting onto the wall. That honestly feels like the easiest part. Once everything's designed and everything like that, and I'm on a wall with some headphones on, that's like, that's cake. That's probably like for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys have like the camera in your hand. It's probably the stuff leading up to it.
Yeah, it's everything leading up to it, building those schedules, that kind of thing.
When you're walking around with the camera in your hand, that's
it. That's the moment.
yeah, that's what you're going for. Yeah, that's good times right there. Yeah, so no problems. The biggest one is like surfaces, as far as like actually applying the art. You'll do like a corrugated steel building, and to try to manipulate the piece that it still looks good when the surface is waving like this.
My.
Yeah, that's the challenge for that. Or brick that has super deep pockets in the groove. So that's a little bit challenging, but it's also forgiving. Mural art is forgiving. It's not as precise.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you determine the quality of paint that you use for a project?
Well, I use all Sherwin-Williams.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they ask for something different. I've always been like a Sherwin-Williams customer. They're super great to me. They're one of those companies that like the customer service is top notch. What they'll do is like I'll call them and they'll bring a rep out on site and we'll go over it together. Like, hey, what do we think this was painted with last? Do we need to prime it with this? Should we go with oil base? Should we go with latex? Like we'll have those discussions with them, and they're very knowledgeable in like their product. And they'll do that for free. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's good to have that in my back pocket too, because these people are spending a large amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I want something that like I feel when they see that, those conversations happening, those plans taking place, they have confidence that what they're purchasing isn't going to fall off in 2 to 3 years, which is a big selling point for us when you look at us compared to like my biggest competition, especially locally, isn't a muralist. It's vinyl, vinyl signs and stuff like that. So for me to go somewhere and say, look, this is a mural I did 6 years ago and it looks the same way it did the day we started.
You need to do a social media post on that.
Their brains were no, that's true. Yeah, because that is we're pretty comparative when it comes to cost, but when it comes to longevity, it's not even close.
Is how long would like a typical mural in Ohio weather conditions last?
It's going to depend on the biggest determining factor is the quality of the surface that it's going on before. Like, I'm trying to. There's an example of there is a mural going into downtown Youngstown. You've probably seen it before. There's a guy playing a trumpet on it
by at the Playhouse, the Youngstown Playhouse.
No, that guy did that same one.
Okay,
and it applies to that one too because that building laid vacant. Moisture accumulated in the brick, and now you can see it starting to wear off. So like, there's nothing you could do if something like that happens. But typically, Sherwin-Williams is going to guarantee their product on exterior surfaces for 10 years. So that's a long time.
That is a long time.
Different colors will fade different ways too. Your blues, yellows, and reds are going to fade a lot quicker than your like earth tones. Yeah.
What has been your most favorite project you've done?
For me,
or what's meant the most to you?
Yeah, I would say the Apollo one was so cool because it was just so large scale. It was so massive. And it was so fun because I actually brought my brother on for that and another fireman. And we all got to work on it because it was so big. Like, I could tell these guys just paint like a 4-foot stripe. I just need a stripe to go all the way up this building. That's all I need. And they could handle that. So that was so much fun to see like that largest scale. But for me, I love like the nursery ones. Those are my favorite ones. A woman hired me to do one that was like this full surround of all these Disney princesses. And then she hired me again when she had a boy, and we did a full galaxy with all this space stuff. And those ones were so cool because you just see like, if you're doing like a commercial one, no one cares. Even the person.
Well, you don't get to like physically see people's reactions.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, someone writes you a check and and then you go on your way. But like to watch like parents walk in and be like, oh my gosh. And then like I saw the girl that I painted that for is like 4 or 5 now. And I saw them out and she was like, this is the guy that painted all the princesses on your wall. And it was just
special.
It was a really like full circle moment that I was like, oh, this is really cool.
That's so awesome. Oh my. I had a question that popped in my head. Oh, do you ever have like people tagging you on Instagram like with your art? Like they take pictures in front of your art or anything like that?
Well, he doesn't put his stuff on it. You got to put your Instagram handle at least somewhere on there.
I know that's
on your select few that you would choose.
That's honestly like a 101 thing that I don't do. That's just like abysmal. My wife yells at me all the time for not put my name on the bottom, but yeah, I get tagged in a couple that like are just like the ones at the mall. The one raised like a big stink. Yeah. So at some point, like people just knew that I do that. So I get tagged in like those ones quite a bit. And then there are some that do have my name on it. Like Martin Luther has my name on it now. And I've been tagged in that one a couple of times. So that's a cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I would assume that would be like very awesome to just get that little notification and be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, people use the Apollo one for photography like the background of shoots quite a bit. And that's always a good thing. Cause like, yeah, for someone to recognize your thing as something they want in their shoot is a cool feeling.
Neat.
Now, if you could go back and change one thing, whether it's in your high school career, college career, what would that be and why?
Wow. I don't have anything, because if I would have changed something, it would have been that I didn't get injured and that I went and played football. And that wouldn't have been the path that I wanted. You know what I mean? I would have went to some small school, played football, got a business degree, and like who knows what I would have done. My dad was a salesman, so do I end up as a salesman and just like, so I think I truly like, I don't mean to be like too spiritual, but I feel like things kind of stacked that the way that they would have. And even like, the mess ups I've made as a business and stuff like that, it's all just been a chance to really like feel it, learn it, and ultimately, hopefully, offer a better product because of it. So yeah, I have nothing. I feel very blessed to have received the things that have come my way.
That's
Every
awesome.
part of your journey has shaped you to who you are today.
Very much so. Very much so. And it's crazy because it was so unintentional. It's not like one of these things where I set out in a direction and then like things fell in line. It was like I kind of got like thrown around, and told to go a different way, and
picked you up, turned you around, and put you on a different path.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah, because even with the art stuff, like I was gonna be an art student, and then my brother out of nowhere was like, "Come be a firefighter." I was like, "All right, whatever."
Like, let's do it.
And but that allowed me to be able to do the stuff. So I just feel very blessed to have found all of it. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone, an aspiring artist that wants to do what you are doing right now?
I would say that, like, kind of what you were talking about with the 5 years.
Yep.
Like, it's going to take so long, especially because for you guys, photography, like you said, anyone can pick up a camera and do it to a certain extent. Like, you're going to be able to take photos like day one. But just watching Jenna, my employee who started her mural business, and like the challenges she's having of like getting her name out there now, it's gonna take time, a lot of time, especially in this like niche of a work
of a market, an industry.
Yeah, it's just, you really have to like cut your teeth and like showing and educating people on what you do and that you are here and that you're able to do it. It's tough. And I don't think there's any shortcut to that either.
No.
You know, I really don't think there's like, I don't think all the money you could throw into Facebook ads or whatever you want, like, I don't think any of that would really change the amount of time that you would need to put in to become even operable, you know, to a sense. Even
building a strong social media presence takes a very long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to build mine quite a bit, and I started in 2014.
Wow.
And it's
still working.
It's still not like where I would like imagine it and where I want it to be. Yeah. So it just takes a lot of time and networking. Power of networking.
Yeah, and like there's those people that get those lucky breaks and pop off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think for the vast majority, the 99%, it's all just about time, and just keep chipping away.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, having a math teacher as a wife, has she been able to help you a lot from the accounting standpoint or the business side of things?
Well, it's unique. She the one time when we were doing interiors, she like whipped out an Excel sheet and broke like wall square footage minus the windows, adding the trim linear footage, and put it all into an Excel sheet. And I was just like, my mind was blown. I was just like, this is insane. Like Excel is so foreign to me, but she was awesome with that. But the accounting side of murals is not challenging. So, because there's sometimes you're doing one project for like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 months. So it's like, we'll take a deposit at the beginning.
Yep.
We'll take a check at the end. So in that sense, I've been lucky because it is fairly simple. And even products are like,
Pricing doesn't fluctuate.
well, on paint in that, but it's very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And murals, our product is a very small percentage of our operating costs. It's mostly time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've done that. You can't break a city built from steel.
Mm-hmm.
We use 3 gallons of white paint.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of our largest murals and stuff like that. So it's like, we have. I had 1 brush, a mini roller, and 3 gallons of white paint, and
That's all you needed.
yeah, that was it. So
Wild.
yeah, so it was like it fit in a grocery bag and from Sherwin-Williams, and I was out the door, and so we're lucky that we don't have our profit margins are larger, so it's not something that I even like stress about. Like if paint
There's not
goes
too
up.
much overhead.
No, not and even equipment. Like I carry with me a ladder, like a one of those like little giant ladders that can extend high. All this like paint, rollers, brushes, all that kind of stuff. Very minimal stuff, and it's like anything that's over what I could do for that. I would need like a big lift, so
Yeah.
I would rent a lift and stuff like that. So, there's really not the overhead is so low, which is awesome.
That is awesome. Great business model for sure.
Now, have you brought your wife onto jobs with you?
She did one job with me, and she's a talented artist. Like we've done those like little date nights where you'll like draw a portrait of the other person.
We did that too.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And hers came out like it's hung up in our house. Like,
Oh, wow. Look
yeah,
at that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she did such a good job. And mine, I literally
It's not hung
I had
up on the wall.
I had to put it face down, and I hid it in a corner, never to be seen again. It was, and that's not me being like hypercritical. Like that's me honestly evaluating the two. But I brought her onto one job, and she was painting these little letters, and like her eyes were starting to like cross, and she's like, "I'm good."
Uh-huh.
So maybe someday in the future, I think that'd be cool. Like we were talking about like homeschooling.
Yeah.
Like how cool would it be to caravan with the kids to like a job,
Yep.
like in another state, go paint a mural, do some homeschooling. Like
Why not?
I could totally picture it.
yeah, no, I think that'd be cool. But who knows? That we got a lot to figure out before we get to that point.
Time flies though. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're not lying. Yeah, that could be here tomorrow.
It could be. You never know. You never know what's right around the corner for your
for
future.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, this has
Covered
been
a lot of different things.
Yeah, we covered a wide range. No, it's been a great conversation. You guys have something going here for sure. You guys have a good chemistry, and obviously the greatest sound equipment. This is like
Yes, we do.
Joe Rogan-esque here. Yeah.
Give us some words to live by.
Words to live by. Oh man, I would say. I saw this quote from Pablo Picasso the other day, and it said, like something to the effect of, art gives us the ability to dust off our souls from like the dirt of everyday life. And I thought that was so
that.
cool.
Yeah, that is so, and it's so true.
Yeah, it's like that little bit of escape. So I would just say like whoever, like everybody has some creative outlet, whether it's like not artistic at all, whether it's like, some people really love football and they love watching and playing fantasy football or something like that. But just find something that is passionate, that you can create, spend some time figuring things out and creating something special, because it gives you that chance to just escape from the dust of everyday life.
Love it.
There we go.
There you have it.
Awesome.
Guys, thanks so much for listening to the No BS podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.